Almost $300,000. That's the number sitting in the middle of this divorce. Not $3,000. Not $30,000. Almost $300,000. And now two people who were married for over 20 years are standing in court trying to explain where that money went. This isn't just a marriage ending. This is about federal SBA loans taken during COVID. It's about accusations of fraud. It's about identity theft claims. And it's about a business that may have protected someone or exposed everything. She says she handled the finances because that was her role. He says he never approved what happened. She says he had full access to every account. He says one account was opened without his knowledge. She says the money was used to keep the business alive. He says the money was moved the very next day. And then comes the moment that shifts everything. An identity theft complaint was filed with the SBA. But later, the SBA responds. They are unable to validate the claim. That one sentence changes the energy in the room. Because if this wasn't identity theft, then what was it? A misunderstanding? A breakdown in communication? Or something much bigger? And then the judge brings up something powerful. Piercing the corporate veil. That's legal language, but it carries weight. Normally, a corporation protects its owners. Business money stays business money. Personal money stays personal money. But if that veil gets pierced, everything becomes personal. And in divorce court, personal liability can change someone's entire future. Now the courtroom has to untangle. Who really had access to the accounts? Why were thousands transferred to a son-in-law? What is the Sunshine Group? Why did fraud accusations appear only after divorce papers were filed? There's no yelling in this case. No dramatic outbursts. Just quiet, careful answers. But underneath that calm tone, there's tension. Financial tension. Trust tension. And the kind of tension that only happens when business and marriage mix for 20 years and then fall apart. By the end of today, the divorce will be granted, but the real question isn't whether the marriage survives. It's this: who walks away with almost $300,000 in debt? And who walks away carrying the blame?
We're on the record in cause number DF2301560. Counsels, will you please announce for the record?
Julie Johnson for the petitioner.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Attorney Scott.
Julie Johnson representing Eli Oka, the respondent.
All right, and those who intend to testify, please raise your right hands. Do you all swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give will be the truth and the whole truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You all may lower your hands. We're set here today on a divorce, final trial divorce with property. Prior to going on the record, there were some exhibits that were pre-admitted at the exhibit conference, and they will be admitted at this time. Petitioner has no exhibits, and the respondents exhibits 1 through 26 are admitted. The court takes judicial notice of all contents of the court's file, including the order that strikes all of petitioner's pleadings in this case for failure to abide by the court's orders, specifically the discovery in this case.
Your Honor, I believe that the exhibits were pre-marked but not admitted.
They're admitted at this time.
We have objections to the exhibits, Your Honor.
Okay, so you would have had to object at the exhibit conference.
There was no exhibit conference.
Well, you know what? There wasn't an exhibit conference because your client's exhibits were stricken. So there wasn't a need for an exhibit conference. So at this time, what the court will do is go through each of the, as you know what? No, we're not going to do that. As the exhibits are, I'm not going to admit 1 through 26 at this point. At the time that Attorney Johnson presents an exhibit, then you can object at that time, except for the summary of requested relief. Which number is that?
Your Honor, the 26 would be the relief and 25 would be the required property chart division.
Okay, so exhibits 25 is admitted as a summary, and as well as number 26, which is an A for the court.
Yes, sir.
All right, you all have 30 minutes aside that will include any opening and closing statements that you'll make if you choose to make some, as well as examination of your witnesses. At this time, Attorney Sachs, would you like to make an opening statement?
No, Your Honor, before we get to that, I also have a petitioner's requested relief. I would request that be admitted as an aid to the court.
Okay, does your release specifically request does it relate to any exhibits?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay, so the court will admit respondents. We don't have your exhibit though. Yeah, we didn't get any exhibits.
Okay, I thought the associate judge forwarded that to you. But
Yes, Lee specifically said that there were no exhibits.
Your Honor, just for clarity as well, that if the relief is going to be admitted as a summary only of this witness's testimony.
That's it.
Okay, there's a lot of characterization statements and things that are false.
No, well, the court wouldn't entertain it anyway. So the only thing that the court will entertain is a summarization of her testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So, Attorney Sachs, I will need that exhibit. If you will email that to my court reporter at joey.rivera. It's her name is on the screen. JOIE.Rivera, RIVERA at dallascounty.org. That way I'll be able to get it from her to see it.
sure, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I speak for a second, please?
Who's this?
It's Mary.
Okay.
I received 3 mail delivery failures. I copied and pasted Joey's email from the court website, and it actually has her last name spelt wrong from the court website, REVERA. So I need to know if she received them, and if not, I need to go resend them.
She didn't receive them. It's RIVERA. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. I have to get that updated because.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't know.
But I didn't know. So thank you for letting me know. What was I getting ready to say? Are you sending links? Or are you sending PDF?
No, I'm sending PDFs because y'all don't accept links, is my understanding. That's why there's 3 emails.
Yes, I was going to say.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome. Okay, so Attorney Sachs, at this time, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
So this case, Your Honor, is about property division. The parties have been married for over 20 years at this point. The evidence that we will present by way of testimony will be such that there was a business, and this business was jointly run by the parties, and that there was no fraud, and everybody in the business was acting in the best interest of the business, and they were acting with the full knowledge of their other parties. So we will seek to show through the respondent's testimony and the proposed exhibits that there was indeed no fraud on the community, and who would be requesting that the courts do a just and right division of property. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Attorney Johnson, would you like to make an opening statement?
Just for a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, this case has been an absolute inability to seek justice through attaining the proper documentation. And we have evidence, and there has been admittance by the petitioner during the temporary orders that, in fact, not only did she fraud the community, she frauded the SBA along with several others that are now owed great amounts of debt that she received in the name of the business and removed for her own personal gain. In that, Your Honor, I believe that this court can find that there has been fraud committed on the community and award the community business, as counsel has spoken of, to the petitioner along with its debts to do the very best possible to make a just and right division, which under these circumstances, there are no assets to truly do that. Mr. Oka will be left with nothing more than the home and approximately an eighth of what Ms. Oka has received by taking the funds and not returning those to the community estate. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Attorney Stocks, you may call your first witness.
I call upon Victoria Sandra Oka.
All right, you may proceed.
May you please state your full and complete name?
Victoria Sandra Oka.
Are you the petitioner in this divorce proceeding?
Hold on one second. Can she move closer to the microphone? Just to make sure everything.
Victoria Sandra Oka.
Thank you.
Are you the petitioner in this divorce proceeding?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been married to the respondent?
Over 20 years.
Okay. During your marriage, did you and respondent operate a business together?
Yes, we did.
What is the name of the business?
Nisi Global Incorporation.
Okay. You said incorporation. Was this an incorporated business?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Registered as a separate entity?
Yes, it was.
Okay. With a separate taxpayer identification number?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Were you actively involved in the operation of the business?
Yes, I was.
What were your day-to-day responsibilities?
I was responsible for the administration of the business.
Okay. Did your responsibilities include handling finances?
Yes, it did.
Okay. What were some of the financial transactions that you were handling for the business?
So I was responsible for keeping financial records, preparing information for filing of taxes, for paying bills, paying utilities, opening accounts, applying for loans, anything administrative related to the business.
Okay. Who worked in this business?
Myself and Elile Oka.
Okay. That is your husband.
Yes.
Okay. Did your husband have any other job outside this business?
No, not since 2007.
Since 2007?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Prior to that, he had another job?
Yes.
Okay. So after 2007, would it be fair to say that the primary source of income for your husband was this business?
Yes.
Okay. Did you pay family living expenses out of the revenue from this business?
Yes.
Okay. Did your husband have access to business bank accounts?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And did you also have access to business bank accounts?
Yes, I did.
Did your husband have online access to bank accounts?
Yes, he did.
Was he an authorized signatory on those accounts?
Yes, he was.
Did you receive bank notifications?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did your husband receive bank notifications?
Yes, because
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. There's no actual knowledge by this witness of that fact.
they
Okay,
came to the
like
business
the
in-
order.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Attorney Johnson, did you take her under voir dire?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Oka, is it true that you have seen and are aware that Mr. Oka, you've actually had actual statements that were received for notices that went directly to your husband's email or contact and not yours?
No, they went to the company email.
Thank you. And that would have been your email, is that correct?
No, it was info@nisiglobalsourcingincorporated.com.
And that's the one that you had access to only because you did the
Hold
finding.
on one second. I need-
objection argumentative.
We both had access to it.
Stop, everybody stop talking. We did not get the email address.
It was info@nisiglobalsourcing.com.
Got it. Okay, now.
Your Honor, can I say something real quick,
No.
No,
please?
sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
You're out of order. Hold on one second. Let me go back to where we were because an objection was made. Okay, so the question was, Ms. Oka, is it true that you actually have seen or are aware that Mr. Oka had actual statements that were received or notices that went directly to your husband's email and contact and not yours? And her answer was no, they went to the company email. And then Attorney Sachs, you made an objection.
My objection was actually after that.
Okay, well, after that, I told everybody to stop speaking. So you were trying to make an objection after that.
No, Your Honor, I believe she said something after that. I believe Attorney Johnson said something. That's when I objected to being argumentative.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, so it wasn't on the record. You all were speaking over each other. So the question to her, the answer to her last question was no. It went to the Nisi's global sourcing email. So Attorney Johnson, start from there.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Oka, have you seen that Mr. Oka, your husband, received emails at the information at Nisi that you claim that all the notices went to? Did you see Mr. Oka receiving that, opening that, and having access to that?
It was an email that was set up.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive. It was a yes/no question.
The question was, Ms. Oka, have you seen Mr. Oka, your husband, receive emails at the information at Nisi that you claim all the notices went to? Yes or no?
Yes, he has received emails at that email address when we were working together.
Okay.
Your Honor, let me just re-ask the question. Did you see him open and use and have access to that email? That was the question, ma'am.
Open and use that email address?
Did you see him physically? Were you present and you observed him having access to that email?
Yes.
In your presence?
Yes.
And can you tell the court when that would have been?
Throughout the course of the time that we worked together and owned the business, because that was the email that we used for business communication.
Yes, ma'am, but I think you're failing to understand the question. I asked you if you personally had physically seen him have access.
Objection, Your Honor, repetitive. She already responded yes.
Counsel, sustain.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are you still under your voir dire?
I think I'm complete, Your Honor.
Okay, so the objection is overruled. Attorney Sachs, you may proceed.
Did you receive bank notifications via email?
Yes, we did.
Did you receive financial statements like bank statements?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did your husband have online access to the business bank accounts?
Yes, he did.
I'm going to object again, as Your Honor. This is hearsay.
Hold on.
Okay.
Your husband have online access to business bank accounts. I guess if they were married, so she would have personal knowledge to that, right?
If she has had personal knowledge and seen him using and having access, yes, ma'am. But that never occurred. My client will testify that he's never had that access.
Okay, so I think the most appropriate thing to do there then, counsel, is to wait until you get her on cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Attorney Sachs, you may proceed.
Okay. Which institutions did you have bank accounts for the business?
Resource One, Credit Union, and Bank of America.
How were those business bank accounts opened?
The Resource One account was opened in the branch during the time that the business was started. And then Bank of America was opened online.
Okay. Did you have to physically go with your husband to Resource One to open the bank account?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Was he on the signature, on the authorized signatories for the account?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And for the Bank of America, was he an authorized signatory on the bank account?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Did you guys keep any financial records?
Yes, we did.
How did you keep financial records?
We had physical paper records and then online records.
Okay.
And we had Intuit account that we kept accounting records on.
Okay. So your Intuit, would that be something like QuickBooks?
Yes, it was a QuickBooks.
QuickBooks account. Okay. Who has access to that QuickBooks?
We all had access, myself, himself, and the accountant.
And the accountant.
Yes.
Okay. What about the physical files that you kept, the records? Where are they now?
In the office, I'm taking it in the filing cabinet.
Okay. Who has access as of now of those filing cabinets?
He does.
He does. Okay. At the time that you were married and operating this business, did you both have access to these physical records?
Yes, we did.
What kind of records did you keep in those cabinets?
Any paperwork, all kinds of paperwork, documents, receipts, acknowledgements, orders, just anything paperwork related, and there were files.
All right.
On those.
During your marriage, did your husband ever ask for financial records and you refused to give them to you?
No.
To him?
No.
Okay. Did the business require operating capital?
Yes.
Okay. At what point did the business require operating capital?
Operating what, counsel?
Capital?
Capital. Thank you.
Okay. During several periods of the business, we required operating capital. There were times when we obtained loans through PayPal for operating capital. And then during COVID, we got the SBA loan.
Okay. And who was responsible for obtaining financing for the business?
I was responsible for the paperwork, completing the paperwork.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I was responsible for the administration of the business.
For the administration of the business. And what was your husband responsible for?
He was responsible for the operations of the business.
Okay. What is your background, ma'am?
Finance. I've worked in different finance organizations. I've worked for different banks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What qualifications do you have in finance?
I don't have a finance qualification per se, but I've worked in customer service in different companies. I've worked as an auditor.
Okay. So when you obtained loans for the business, was your husband aware that you were obtaining loans for the business?
Yes, he was.
During your marriage, did he ever object to you obtaining loans for the business?
No.
Okay. Were loans obtained in your personal name, in the business name, or in both?
In the business name.
In the business name. Okay. Why did you structure it that way, that they would be in the business name?
Because it was for the purpose of the business.
Okay. All right. So after receiving loan funds, where were the funds deposited?
First into Resource One Credit Union.
Okay.
And then the other one into Bank of America business account.
And at the time that these loans were deposited, did your husband have full control of those bank accounts?
Yes, he did.
And that control was equal and concurrent with your control, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Were funds from the business loans ever deposited to any other account that is not in the name of Nisi Global Inc.?
Yes, somewhere.
Okay, which ones?
Well, there were different times when they were not moved to business accounts, when we needed to do other things, when we needed to pay for other things.
Okay, but I meant the direct loan from the lender. Were they ever deposited to any other account that's not a business account?
No.
Okay. What did you use, to your recollection? What did you use the proceeds from the loans? What did the business use the proceeds from the loans that you obtained?
Mostly for business transactions.
Okay. What were some of those transactions?
Some of the transactions were business expenses, a purchase of a property, a down payment on a purchase of a business property,
Okay.
payment towards the property, different expenses for the day-to-day running of the business.
Okay.
It was a multitude of different transactions, which are all on the bank statements.
Okay. And would you say those funds benefited your husband and your family?
Yes, they did.
Okay. Is that because you were using revenue from the business for the family?
Yes.
Okay. Did you secretly keep any money?
No, I did not.
Okay. Your husband claims you diverted money from the company. Did you?
No, I did not.
Did you transfer money for any personal luxury spending?
No, I did not.
Did you hide any transfers?
No, I did not.
If there were any transfers, were they visible on the bank statements?
Yes, they are.
And could your husband see those bank statements?
Yes, if he logged into the account, he would see them.
Okay. During your marriage, right, did your husband ever question any of the transfers that were made from the business account?
No, he did not.
Did he ever accuse you of fraud during your marriage?
No, he did not.
Okay. So you said you used the system QuickBooks Intuit, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you record transactions at or near the time that they occurred in this system?
Yes.
Was an accountant involved in your accounting and your taxes?
Yes.
Okay.
The accounts were actually linked to the QuickBooks, so they were recorded in QuickBooks.
So there was an accountant who could see your transactions?
Yes.
In real time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you prepare tax returns annually?
Yes, we did.
And including for the business?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, were the business loans reported to the accountant?
Yes, they were.
Okay. To your knowledge, were they reflected on the tax returns for the business?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Does your husband prepare the business books?
No, he does not.
Is he an accountant?
No, he's not.
Would you say, does he know how to prepare financial statements for the company?
No, he does not.
Okay. So, did your husband benefit from the business income of Nisi Global?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did he benefit in any personal way that's not related to the family?
Yes, he did.
Okay. In what way was he personally benefiting?
Because on multiple occasions, he used funds from the business to start an operation that he was running in Nigeria. And he used funds from the business to send stuff that he would sell in Nigeria.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm going to object as this is facts, not in evidence.
Sustain.
Okay. When did your husband first accuse you of fraud?
After I filed the divorce.
After the divorce was filed.
Yeah.
Did you purchase any hidden assets?
No, I did not.
I apologize. I couldn't understand that question.
Did you purchase any assets outside?
Okay, thank you. I couldn't understand the word.
No, I did not.
So, ma'am, have you tried to be truthful to this court?
Yes, I have.
Are your answers based on your personal knowledge?
Yes, they are.
Did you ever intend to deprive the community estate?
No, I did not.
I pass the witness.
All right. Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Oka, is it true that you obtained two large, a first loan and then a second loan, one in 2020 and then one in 2021 from the SBA, from the federal government?
Objection, Your Honor, to the form of the question.
Which part of which form? Like, is it
I believe she's asking if the business obtained loans and not that Ms. Oka obtained loans.
Ms. Oka just testified that she acted on behalf of the business. That's all. She's the one that actually physically applied.
So, Your Honor, I will have a running objection. If something's relating to the business, we want it to be framed that way as the business acting, maybe through my client, but not my client acting almost as independent or in her personal capacity.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Sustain, rephrase.
Yes, Your Honor. So, Ms. Oka, as the financial officer for the business, and you were an officer in the business, correct?
Yes, I was.
And you and your husband are the only two that own that business. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And would you say that since this is a divorce, that was a community asset that must be divided today? Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a legal conclusion.
Sustain, rephrase.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you and Mr. Oka currently have a business named Nisi Global and Nisi Global Automotive?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And so as the divorce is granted, are you expecting the court to award the community property, that property that you actually own together? Would you like the court to award those things?
I'm sorry, you mean the business?
Yes, ma'am. Everything that's community.
Everything that's community, yes.
Thank you. At this time, my question was, did you physically apply for an SBA, two separate loans, first one and then an amended loan for Nisi Global?
Yes, I did.
And did you, how did you do that? Did you do that electronically?
Yes, it was online.
Okay. And how did you acquire Mr. Oka's signature on that electronic signature?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay. You signed an electronic form requesting funds to be given to the business. Is that correct?
So when you actually did the application, there was no...
Ma'am, it's really a simple question. Did you apply for a loan?
Yes,
Okay.
I applied.
Did you sign it electronically as Victoria Oka?
I submitted the application.
Okay.
There was
Did
no
you sign
payment
as
plan.
well, electronic signature?
Once the loan was approved,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, ma'am. And how was Mr. Oka's signature acquired to receive that loan?
In the same manner that other electronic signatures that we used to...
Ma'am, my question is, did Mr. Oka send an electronic signature, or was he requested to send an electronic signature?
Yes, he was.
Okay, and who requested that?
The SBA requested it.
Okay, and did they receive an electronic signature from Mr. Oka's email or from your personal email?
It was from the company email.
And what email was that?
info@Nisi Global.
And you have that, you provided that to the court in discovery to prove that that fact is true?
Yes.
When did you do that?
Sorry, what was the question? Maybe I didn't understand it.
Have you ever supplied a document showing that Mr. Oka signed personally himself for the loans taken from the SBA?
Actually, one of them, yes, I have.
Okay, and what was that one? What loan was that?
The PPP, the one that we obtained.
Okay, so the PPP that were to pay the employees,
Yes,
he did know about. Is that what your testimony is?
he did know about all of them.
Ma'am, that's not my question. The question was the PPPs, the actual employee funds that were granted during COVID, he was aware of. Is that correct?
Yes, he was.
Thank you. Now, isn't it true that you contacted the SBA with Mr. Oka to attempt to take the debt and pay it yourself because you knew that you had received the funds?
Objection, Your Honor. That's too compounded question. I think you should
I'll break it into two, Your Honor, just to be simple. Did you send an email to the SBA requesting that the amount of money that was borrowed for the SBA loans be in your name only, the repayment of those loans?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Thank you. And when you did that, have you made payments because of the funds that you received from the SBA back to pay those loans back against the business?
Not in full, no, ma'am.
How much have you paid?
I don't have an accurate record of that because
Approximately, ma'am, how much did you pay?
I have no idea. It would probably be close to maybe 20,000.
Okay. And you received a $296,000, is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, Mr. Oka's request for the court today is that whatever debts are owed and whatever the business that you were the financial officer of be awarded to you. Do you object to that?
The entire business,
Yes, ma'am.
including the inventory that it currently has?
There is no inventory in Nisi Global. Have you worked in Nisi Global recently and seen the books?
There is inventory at Nisi Global.
Okay, my question is, ma'am, you were the financial, you actually kept the books. Did you, in your discovery, that of course we never got completeness of, did you ever give the
Objection,
Intuit
Your Honor.
books?
Argumentative.
Sustain.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Oka, did you ever send, as any form of discovery, the Intuit books that you claim that are been kept for this business? Have you ever supplied any of those books?
The records, the financial.
Correct. All the financial records that you just testified that you maintained.
Yes.
You supplied those?
Okay. Maybe can you rephrase the question?
Yes, ma'am. Do you have today with you the financial records that you claim that you have kept for this business?
I do not have them.
Thank you. Thank you. And in your position as the financial officer of the business, the maintaining of those would have been done electronically as well as physically. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And when did you last file a business tax return?
In 2021.
Okay. And what's happened since then?
I have no idea. I left.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So you have not functioned in the business since all of the funds that were transferred that are noted on the property that were given to the business in the SBA forms as well as some others. Ever since that money came, you've no longer worked in the business. Is that correct?
I did work in the business after that money came.
After 2021?
Up to 2022 in June.
Okay, June of 2022. Yes, ma'am. And at that time, you left the business and you left your husband. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. And currently, do you have IRS debt?
Yes, I do.
Do you have business IRS debt as well?
When I left, there was business IRS debt.
Okay. Have you paid it?
Nope.
Thank you. Did you make a payment arrangement with the IRS?
For my personal IRS debt, yes.
Okay. But nothing in the maintaining of the business that was run by you and your husband?
No, because I have
Thank you.
Even
No, thank you.
The record.
So at this point in time, the outstanding SBA loans that were taken, your testimony was that you deposited them initially to the business account. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
So both of the large loans, the 140 and the 149, both of those loans, you took one in June of 2020 for 149, and then another in October of 2021 for the second part of 146. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. After the money was deposited into the business account, where did it go? Where did you transfer it to?
Into the business account.
Ma'am, where did it transfer to? The money was transferred out of the operating business account. Is that true?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
Okay, what was the question?
It's okay. Did you, after the money was deposited into the operating business account, did you yourself transfer those funds to another account?
No, not those funds, no.
So you never transferred the 149 in June of 2020 out of that account. It all still sits there today,
No, it
or was spent.
transferred from the Resource One account into the Bank of America account.
Okay, so you did transfer it. Is that correct?
But not the business account, yes.
Okay, and at that time, when you took the loan from the SBA, what you signed and agreed to in a contract was that it was to be used solely for the business. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And did you oversee those funds and use it solely for the business?
yes.
Okay, can you tell this court why you would not turn over the records to show all of the expenditures of those funds?
Your Honor, may I object? May I have a running objection here?
What's your legal objection?
Relevance, Your Honor. We are talking about Nisi Global Inc., which is an entity separate and apart from the individuals. The assets and liabilities of Nisi Global Inc. are not subject to division by this court. This court can divide the shares as in the shareholding of Nisi Global Inc., but you can't go into the assets and liabilities because that's a matter for corporate law. As a family court, you cannot go and divide the assets and liabilities of Nisi Global. All the questioning I'm hearing is towards the assets, the liabilities, the SBA loans for Nisi Global. And frankly, I believe that would be a waste of time for this court, and it is not relevant to the issues that we have here. If we are going to divide the assets for these parties, it has to be their personal credit cards, their personal loans, their bank account balances, their house, and not what is owned by another entity. There has been no intervention by Nisi Global into this. There is no third-party action by anybody into this. Nisi Global is not represented by Julie Johnson. Nisi Global is not represented by Elile Oja Oka. Nisi Global is an entity on its own. If it is to bring any action for fraud, misrepresentation, abuse, or anything, it has to be a separate, because that boat has sailed. There's no intervention in the family court case. So anything Nisi Global would like to object to, and we can't talk about the assets and we can't talk about the liabilities of Nisi Global Inc. Separate entity, that is not in this lawsuit. So on the grounds that it is not relevant, we object, Your Honor.
I'm pretty sure it's relevant. Counsel, response?
Yes, Your Honor. The relevancy is, currently today, as we sit here, Nisi Global, which was a closely held business by only these two, which are the parties of this lawsuit, and the award of that closely held business is up and is certainly under the jurisdiction of this court today. And at this time, Your Honor, it holds in debt solely from the loans that were taken in 2020 and 21 and through 22, as the petitioner has noted, an amount of $397,000, $397,950. And the majority of that is owed to the federal SBA, which is currently under investigation because there has been fraud reported by the actual loans that were taken out in the name of this business. This court is certainly not making a decision on that. That will be up to a federal investigation. But at this time, Your Honor, the award of this closely held business by these two parties alone, with no other third party, as counsel has pointed out, is certainly subject to the division of the property today.
Your Honor, if I may, my objection was very specific. If we're talking about the business, we're talking about the shareholding. NIS Global Inc. is a separate entity. There is no intervention. It is not a party to this lawsuit. So if we spend time talking about the assets and liabilities of an entity that we cannot divide, this court cannot and should not divide the assets and liabilities of NIS Global Inc.
Okay.
That's our objection.
So you're right in the sense that typically assets of the corporation, they're entity assets. However, if the argument is that one of the shareholders pierced the corporate veil, which is what I'm hearing without the words actually being said, then it is subject to division because I can then consider it to be community property.
With all due respect, Your Honor, you are now giving them an exception that they have not alleged.
I'm not giving them any, and I'm telling them
what the counter petition. They never made that allegation. Otherwise, we would have answered it. They never made that.
I muted you because you do not speak over me. When I said counsel, that was your indication to stop speaking. I didn't speak over you, so you cannot be disrespectful to me. I'm not giving them an argument. You cited what the law says. I expounded on what the law says about what you just recited. The entity property is not subject to division. However, if there is, and based on her questioning it, that's what it sounds like she's alluding to, the piercing of the corporate veil. If I find that the corporate veil was pierced, then I can then take that property and consider it to be community property. But I have to find it. That's her case to prove. That doesn't necessarily mean that I will find it. So you brought it up mentioning the division with the entity property. All I'm saying is I'm expounding upon what the law says in regards to that. So it wouldn't necessarily be irrelevant. It would be relevant, the questions that she's asking her. Okay? So the objection is overruled. Attorney Johnson, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I would like to admit Respondent's Exhibits 5 through 11, which are the accounts and the documents that were received from the petitioner that are, of course, these are limited, but these are bank accounts that she's referencing here, and the deposits that were made, and then the transfers that were made, and the loans that were taken out. And that would be number 5. That would be number 5 through 11.
Okay. Any objection to 5 through 11?
Objection, Your Honor. There hasn't been any proper authentication of those records. There is no business records affidavit to say these are records that are kept in the ordinary course of business by the bank. There's no bank employee here to testify. And for those reasons, those should be kept out, Your Honor.
Have I personally, or has the business?
Yes, ma'am. Have you transferred any funds outside?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. In account Bank of America that's been introduced, it is October of 2021 that the deposit was made for $140,000.65. Do you recall that? In 8187.
Yes.
Okay. From that month forward, did you transfer the funds?
The reason I'm hesitant is because there were different transactions on those accounts. It was a business. There was bound to be transactions and different things that happen on a business account.
Okay,
So
and let me ask you this, ma'am. Who made those transfers? Online banking transfers.
we both had access to the account.
Ma'am, that was not my question. Access is not the question. The question is who made the transfers?
Is there a particular transfer that you're referring to, maybe?
Yes, ma'am. We could start with Exhibit 8 and account 8187. Who is Manana Munatse? MANYANDEMAMUNATSI. Who is that?
That's my son-in-law.
Okay. Did you transfer $8,000 to him? And then another $8,000 and the next day?
I think those are concurring transactions. If you see those
Oh, no, there's two.
incoming
There's two,
and an outgoing.
ma'am.
There was an
Two transfers. And then there's a transfer into check.
Your Honor, may I say something? Counsel is speaking over my client as she is
Okay.
responding.
I'll slow down. I apologize.
A lot of stuff is being lost because she's not waiting for the response.
Okay, and that's fair. Counsel, you have to wait on her to answer the question, and you all can't speak over each other because my court reporter has to write down everything that you all are saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'll back up. The first question, ma'am, was there was a reference to Exhibit 8, account ending in 8187. You said there was a transfer of $8,000 made to your son-in-law. Is that correct?
Well, the name that you brought up, yes, that's my son-in-law.
Okay. So there was a transfer of $8,000 to him. That's what she asked you. That was the first question.
Mhm.
So is that answer yes?
If it's on the statements, yes.
Okay. And then she said that there was another transaction the next day of $8,000.
Mm.
Did you make that transfer?
So what I'm trying to understand, Your Honor, because when she's referring to these transactions, was it an incoming transaction or an outgoing transaction?
Counsel, was it an incoming or outgoing?
It was outgoing.
Outgoing. So the next day, after your son-in-law received $8,000, there was an outgoing transfer of another $8,000. Did you make that transfer?
If it's on their account, yes, I did.
Who did you make it to?
To the name on the account, to my son-in-law.
For both days?
So because these transactions are far back in time, I don't remember them specifically. If I had had time to look at the accounts, I would have been able to remember them. And why I say that is because
No, I don't need that. I'm just trying to make sure that the record is here. So just so the court understands, $16,000 was transferred outgoing to your son-in-law.
if that's what the account shows, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Who is the Sunshine Group?
It's an organization that I was doing a broker, like I was a broker for them.
Okay, did you transfer money in and out of the business account to that organization, to the Sunshine Organization? Ma'am, it's a simple question. Did you transfer money out of this business account in Exhibit 8, the 8187 account, to the Sunshine Group?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
And I would also
may I say something?
Second, ma'am, 1 second. Counsel, you making an objection?
Yes, Your Honor. If we're looking at Exhibit 8, you admitted that these on the basis that these were documents that we produced in discovery. I'm looking at this document. I don't recognize us producing this particular document marked as Respondent's Exhibit 8. What we produced were actual bank statements with Bank of America on it. And so I think counsel misrepresented to the court that this document was produced by us during discovery. And I don't know how the court wants to deal with that, but this was clearly misrepresented to the court. We did not produce anything that is looking like this. This looks like a compilation. maybe by a respondent, maybe by a respondent's attorney, but what we would have produced would have been statements that came from Bank of America and in this format. So if maybe counsel can explain where this document is coming from and explain why she says, I produced it in discovery on behalf of my client.
Okay, so counsel, what is the legal objection? Because the document is already in evidence.
Well, the legal objection, Your Honor, is that there is no authentication for this document. Whereas the other documents are documents that I admit I did produce during discovery. This one was not. So there's no authentication. If they want it to come in, then it has to have a business records affidavit. It has to have, or, an employee from the bank to testify.
And Your Honor, every
My
one of
client
these
cannot be the source of that testimony because she did not produce it during discovery.
Mr. Fox was not in this case for quite some time. She had previous counsel as well as she represented herself for a period of time. These documents have not been altered. These are the bank statements. They've been highlighted to show that what some of these transactions are. There's nothing about there. If there is an objection that this is not representative of the bank accounts that were supplied, that would be an objection. That is not true. These are the bank statements. They're not recreated. They've been highlighted. That's the only alteration to show the court some of these transactions.
Okay, so counsel,
Your Honor, this is not a bank statement. These look like screenshots.
Okay, but she did have prior counsel.
Yes.
Could it have been that the previous attorney, Attorney Magumbi, I think I'm saying it right?
Yes.
Produced these?
No.
No, Your Honor, my client is saying no, she doesn't recognize this document.
That's not.
Oh, so here's the deal. It's already in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, I would ask that Ms. Oka could examine this Exhibit 8 because the transfers and the money that comes in and out of this account in multiple names in the amounts of $40,000, $10,000. It goes from page to page to page. I'm trying to be respectful of the court's time. Ms. Oka, can you look at this statement and tell the court how these...
Not necessarily the court's time, you all's time.
I understand. And I'm being very mindful of that. Let me just ask Ms. Oka a question. Ms. Oka, in looking at Exhibit 8, these withdrawals and these transfers that were made to Sunshine Group or to your son-in-law that you've now given us notice that is who that person is, were those made by you?
Okay.
It's a simple question. Were those made by you?
If you don't mind, Your Honor, when I look, I'm now looking at the exhibit because this is the first time I'm looking at it as it was presented. And I do see that $16,000, there was a credit and a debit, which is because there probably was money that was coming in and I moved it back to where it came from. So it was not part of the money. If you see there was a credit and a debit, a credit and a debit of the $8,000.
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point because this is my time and there's just a simple question. Was the activity that's outlined on the document done by you? That's it.
Yes, it was done.
Thank you. And on 10/15/21, which is the last transaction, was the $140,000, and that was transferred from 7154. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And in 2020, did you also, in June of 2020, were the deposits made of the $149,000 that was received from the SBA to your business account?
Yes.
And after it was deposited, did you transfer it to another account?
Like I said before, transfers were made during the operation.
My question was, did you, after the money was deposited the next month, within that next month period, transfer those funds from the account that it was deposited in?
I would have to be looking at the bank statements, ma'am. Because
Okay.
that's several years ago.
Yes, ma'am, it was. It's also a large amount of money that most people would remember. I'm going to, Your Honor, let me think I'm going to conserve my time and pass the witness.
Okay, you have 2 minutes and 12 seconds left. Attorney Socks, you have 9 minutes and 59 seconds left. Any redirect, Attorney Socks?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, you were questioned about transfers. Were any of these transfers made for your personal benefit?
No.
Okay. What was the purpose, for example, of a transfer from 7154 that was mentioned for 140,000?
So that was a transfer between business accounts. One was, I think, was an investment account, and the other one was a checking account.
Okay. So why would you make such a transfer from an investment account into a checking account?
Because there was a limit of the number of transactions that can be carried out on the investment account versus the checking account.
So there was a business purpose to these transfers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did your husband know of these transfers?
Not necessarily, because during the period when these transactions were also going on, he was mostly absent from the country for the greater part of the time. So I was running the business while he was away. Some of them he was aware of. Some of them he might not have been aware of.
Okay. But did he have access and the tools to be aware of these transactions?
Yes, he did.
Prior to the divorce, did he ever object to any of these transfers?
No, he did not.
Did he ever question any of these transactions prior to the divorce?
No, he did not.
Okay. No further questions for this witness.
Okay. All right, counsel, you may call your next witness.
I call upon Mr. Elile Oka.
All right. You may proceed.
Mr. Oka, can you please state your full and complete name? Mr. Oka.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. First name is Elile, Elile. Last name is Oka, Oka.
So, Mr. Oka, during your marriage, you worked in or around Nisi Global Inc. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Nisi Global Inc. had bank accounts that were opened in its name. Is that correct?
That was open in, that's correct. Nisi Global Inc.
Okay. Were you an authorized signatory on the Bank of America account for Nisi Global?
I am, but I'm not authorized.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive after I am.
Sustain every non-responsive
Yes.
after now.
Okay, go ahead.
Were you an authorized signatory on the Resource One Credit Union bank account for Nisi Global?
I am.
Okay. And did you have access to go into the banking hall for any of those bank accounts?
No, I don't.
You were. Okay, so when you say no, you don't, do you mean you were blocked if you tried to go into the banking hall for those accounts?
Well, let's go back. The Bank of America account ending in 8187 was opened without my
Objection,
knowledge.
Your Honor. Non-responsive.
I don't have access to that account.
Sir, you have to wait on the next question.
Okay.
So, all right, let's say you had a Bank of America account that you had access to. Is that correct?
I have, yes, access to the account that the SBA came into, but on the next day, after the money was deposited into the account I have
Objection,
access
Your
to,
Honor.
the
Non-responsive.
money was transferred to an account I didn't have access.
Sir, you have to stop speaking when an objection is made. Otherwise, I have to continue to mute you. You're not, you can't overspeak, okay? When an objection is made, you have to be quiet. If there is anything that needs to be cleaned up based on your testimony, your attorney will do it on redirect. So now I'm going to unmute you. So do you understand those instructions? Do you understand those instructions, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Counsel, you may proceed.
So, Mr. Oka, loans were taken in the name of the business. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the SBA loans, you tried to file a fraud claim with the SBA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When was that?
When I found out that SBA loan was taken without my knowledge. That's when I did it.
So my question was asking for a date or a period of time. When did you make that claim?
I think it was in 2022.
Okay. And was that before or after the divorce was filed?
Before.
Okay. And when did you get a decision?
From who?
From SBA.
What I did was I was out of the country.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Okay, can you rephrase your question?
Question was, and when did you get a decision?
From SBA?
Yes.
When the case was filed, SBA responded and said, since the money was deposited into our bank account, that I am partly responsible for the money. But then I went back and told them that the money, even though the money was deposited into our joint account, the same day the money came into the account, the next day she transferred the money from the account that I had access to into a different account that we don't use for the business. On the Bank of America account, 8187, I'm not even a signature to that account. I don't have access to that account, even though it was a Nisi Global account.
Okay. So,
Objection, counsel.
It was non-responsive after he said he received a denial notice.
Sustained.
So, Mr. Oka, the SBA told you that there's no fraud in 2024. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor, no facts and evidence.
Your Honor, he just testified that they told him there was no fraud.
He did not. He testified that he received a document from the SBA.
Hold on, what he said, hold on, let me scroll back up. He said, found out that the loan was taken out without my knowledge. This one I did it. I don't see where he said that. He said, when I found out that the SBA loan was taken out without my knowledge, that's when I did it.
Okay, I can re-ask the question, Your Honor. I can rephrase the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Oka, in June 2024, June 24th, 2024, did you receive a letter from the U.S. Small Business Administration?
I called numerous times. I don't recall which letter I received from them. Okay,
did you submit a document to your attorney? And then your attorney submitted it as Exhibit 19?
I don't have that in front of me. What did he say?
Okay, do you want me to read it out to you?
Yes.
We received your identity theft complaint. We are unable to validate your claim based upon the information you provided on the declaration. Do you remember that letter?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so that was in June 2024. My question initially was, when had you filed that complaint? Was it in the same year or before that?
Before that,
Okay. And when did you file it?
I think I filed it when immediately I found out that
You're not telling me a date. Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
And the question was, when did you file it? So we need a date.
I think it was filed in 2022.
Okay. So as of June 24, 2024, you knew that the SBA had said you have no valid claim for identity theft. Is that right? Is that correct?
And
Objection, Your Honor. That's not in evidence. The document doesn't say he doesn't have a claim. I mean, counsel,
Wait, are we talking about a document that's not in evidence?
we are, Your Honor. I'd like to introduce it in evidence, but it's not my turn yet.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce
No,
Respondent's Exhibit 19.
no, not 19.
Respondent's Exhibit 19?
Yes, Your Honor.
Only document I have admitted for respondent is Exhibit 1.
We have 5 through 11 is what we have, Your Honor.
You're saying, he's trying to admit your document. I got it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's submitted.
It would be 18.
So, Mr. Oka,
I'm sorry.
the SBA told you you have no valid claim for identity theft, and yet you caused an amended counter petition claiming fraud on the same SBA that SBA has already told you don't have a valid claim. Why did you do
Objection,
that?
Your Honor. If facts not in evidence, counsel is reciting a federal document and he's being argumentative to try to get a response that he desires.
Your Honor, Respondent 19.
there was fraud.
Sir, hold on 1 second. Attorney Socks.
Respondent's 19 has just been admitted, Your Honor. And it says in line 1 that you are unable to validate your claim based upon.
Unable to, not that he doesn't have a claim. Counsel stated he has no claim. That is not what the document says.
Okay.
Those are facts not in evidence.
Sustain.
All right. So, Mr. Oka, you were given 6 months from the date of that letter to request a reconsideration of that finding. Did you do that?
I sent,
It's a yes or no question. Objection, Your Honor.
I did.
Hold on 1 second. Sir, counsel, could you give me the legal objection for the record?
Non-responsive, Your Honor.
Sustain. Okay, and I'm accepting his answer as I did to your question, so you can ask the next question.
When did you file a request for reconsideration?
I don't recall when that was done.
Was it within the 6 months that you were given?
When it was filed, what the SBA claimed, the SBA
Objection,
claimed,
Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustain. Sir, the question was it within the 6 months that you were given? That's a yes or no.
it was.
Okay, so if you applied for reconsideration, how come you are providing this document that denies your claim, but you are not providing a document that says you applied for reconsideration?
Objection, Your Honor. That's, again, argumentative, facts not in evidence.
I can tell you what the SBA said.
Sustain. Counsel, you may ask your next question.
So, Mr. Oka, do you have a copy of this request for reconsideration?
I don't know if I have a copy of the request for reconsideration, but the SBA told me,
Okay,
as long as the money was deposited, that
Your
they
Honor,
have to-
non-responsive.
Sustain after I don't know if I have a copy of the request for reconsideration.
Mr. Oka, did you give your attorney a copy of this request for reconsideration?
I don't know what I gave. I'm not
Asked and
sure.
answered, Your Honor. My client's already answered that he doesn't have a copy.
No,
Sustained.
Your Honor, you answered a different question.
Sustained. You may ask the next question.
So, Mr. Oka, do you have a business in Nigeria?
If I have a business in Nigeria,
Yes.
we opened one together when we were married. She was aware of it.
Okay, that was not the question.
We did.
Okay, you are speaking in the past. Is that business still operating?
No.
Okay. You put in an inventory and appraisement, and I don't see anything to do with a business in Nigeria.
Objection, Your Honor.
Because
Time frame, inventory and appraisement was filled out after the divorce was filed.
So what's the legal objection, counsel?
The time frame that he's requesting this information.
So, Vegas to time,
This
sustained.
way. I'm sorry.
All right, Mr. Oka, when did this business stop operating?
In maybe 2020, 2021.
Is it your testimony that in 2023, in 2022, this business was not operating?
Objection, Your Honor. Time frame again, 2023. His client has already said the divorce was not filed until 2023. So is the question 22 or 23?
It's either one.
We're back to time frame. Vague as to time.
Okay. Sustained. Counsel, are you speaking to 22 or 23 or both?
Both, Your Honor.
Then they'll have to be answered separately.
All right. So let me do it like this. Is it your testimony, sir, that in 2022, the business in Nigeria was not operating? Yes or no?
It wasn't.
Is it also your testimony that in 2023, the business was not operating in Nigeria? Yes or no?
It wasn't.
Okay. Attorney Stocks?
Do you have any other assets that you did not list on your inventory and appraisement?
I don't.
Okay. Did you at any one point purchase property in Lancaster?
Again, Your Honor, vague as to time. Anytime, divorce time, when time.
Anytime during your marriage?
Okay. He's rephrasing.
Relevancy.
This is a
We
property
put
in your
we
home.
put a down payment on a property.
Okay, sir. I told you when an objection is made, you have to give me an opportunity to rule on the objection. So there was a clarification made to Attorney Stocks. Did you at any point in your marriage purchase property in Lancaster? Is that the question?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And sir, I'm about to unmute you. What is your answer to that question?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Did you disclose that property to your attorney?
Objection, Your Honor. Again, this is a vague and ambiguous question for an inventory or in a discussion that would be under privilege. I don't understand the question.
Counsel, rephrase.
Did you include that property in your inventory, Mr. Oka?
We don't own the property anymore. We lost the property.
When did you lose that property?
Before the divorce.
Do you have a date?
I don't have a date. We lost the property long time ago, sir. Just
Mr.
like
Oka,
every other. Go ahead.
Are you being truthful right now?
We lost that property.
My question is, are you being truthful?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Have you ever been found to be untruthful?
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative. This client has not been. My client has not been impeached for anything.
Sustained.
Mr. Oka, you're saying you have a property, but the property was lost before the before the divorce was filed. But you can't give me a year. When did you lose this property?
If there's anybody that is not being truthful here, is the person sitting next to you.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustain.
So, Mr. Oka, did you have access to the physical files in the office for Nisi Global?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What kinds of records are in those physical files?
There's multiple records in the files.
Okay, give me examples.
All kinds of records.
Counsel, that was
Pass.
hold on, sir. Counsel, that was your last question. You just ran out of time. Attorney Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor. Very quickly. Mr. Oka, the account 8187, which is a part of the exhibits 5 through 11 that have already been admitted, do you have access to that account?
I'm not a signature to that account. She opened it without my knowledge.
Objection, Your Honor, to the question.
And did you open that account with Ms. Oka?
Hold on 1 second. I have to make an objection on that.
Oh, so sorry.
Counsel, a ruling on that objection. What was your legal objection?
Vague as to time, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Okay, and since the creation of the account 8187, have you been a signature on that account or have access to that account since its existence?
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
Was it
vague
open?
as to time.
The question was, and since the creation of the account 8187, have you been a signature on the account or have access to the account since its existence? And what is your objection?
Vague as to time, Your Honor.
Overrule.
Mr. Oka, what was your answer?
No, I don't have access to it. She opened that account without my knowledge.
Thank you. In the name of the business, is that correct?
In the name of the business.
Thank you, sir. And, Your Honor, I would like to admit Exhibit 18 through 22 as the documents that were acquired by my client. And I think counsel has already introduced 18A or 18, I'm sorry, maybe 19. So that would be inclusive in that group. In regards to the execution of the documents for the SBA loans that he has knowledge of.
Okay, so 18, 20, 21, and 22?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. There has been no foundation for these documents to be admitted. There is no authentication. These are not business records that are kept in the ordinary course of business. There is no business records affidavit. There is no testimony that the respondent is the custodian of those records. There is nobody that is coming to testify as to how those records are kept and to properly authenticate them. If we have SBA records, there should have been a subpoena and maybe a response with a business records affidavit or somebody from the SBA. The respondent cannot do that, cannot authenticate SBA records or business bankers.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes.
Exhibit 18 was produced by his client, by Ms. Oka, which is the document that represents the SBA loan with 2 signatures on the same document electronically that my client has no knowledge of. Therefore, the fraud was committed by the person that sent the loan and then provided the loan with the electronic signatures. But number 18 was given to us by Ms. Oka. We would have no access to that except through her. So that was given in our discovery. The 18A was given by Ms. Oka in her discovery. Number 19 was already been admitted because that was a letter from the SBA that we allowed to be admitted because it came to my client. And number 20 is the report that was made by my client who has actual knowledge that he provided a report to the Federal Trade Commission in regards to this activity. He can identify that as his document, as well as the police reports, the 2 that follow for the identity theft that's been created in his name, of the business or in his own name personally, as well as the police report when the petitioner removed all the things from the house before he returned from out of the country. All of those documents were in, those are his personal documents that were created by him. And so I would ask for those to be introduced, as well as the ones that were provided to us by Ms. Oka.
All right, what about 21 and 22?
21 was done by my client. He can identify those as the document that he presented to report the identity theft as his document that he created, as well as 22 and 23. I'm sorry, 22, just 22.
Okay.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Okay, so 18, you're saying was produced in discovery by the petitioner.
That's correct.
All right, and 20.
18A as well, Your Honor, I apologize.
Okay, so 18 and 18A, and you're saying that 20 is the document that your client created when he reported.
That's correct.
Okay, and then 21 is the document where he
reported.
He reported the identity theft.
Correct, and then the things that were taken from the house.
And what is number 22?
The household items that were removed when he was out of the country.
Okay, all right, counsel response.
Your Honor, we have some self-serving documents that counsel is trying to say are self-authenticating, basically, but there has been no authentication. Even if he's the one who created them, we have not had any testimony
He's happy
about
to
accuracy. We have not had any testimony from respondent about these police reports. We have not had any testimony about the identity theft report. So how do they come in by just attorney introducing them when there's been no authentication? They lack foundation.
Attorney Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor. My client will certainly introduce 21 and 22.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, 20, 21, and 22.
All right, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Oka, is it true that you made this theft report, Exhibit 20, that's to the Federal Trade Commission about fraud identity?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
Okay, sustained only.
Mr. Oka, what type of reports did you make in regards to the situation for these loans and this?
Objection leading, Your Honor. You are suggesting that he made reports. He has not testified to that. You are leading the witness.
Oh, Mr. Oka, have you made any reports in regards to the things that have been discussed here today?
Yes, I did.
And what type of reports did you make, sir?
You mean the stuff that was taken from the house?
Yes, that you may think. Did you make a report to that effect?
Yes, I did.
And what
to
other type of report did you
Cedar
make?
Hill Police Department.
Yes, sir. And what other type of report did you make? What other kind?
I filed the police report and they asked me if I want to file charges. I told them no.
Okay. And did you file anything with the federal issue?
I did. I filed an identity theft report.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Oka, is it true that in your divorce that you have been maintaining the house?
That's correct.
Since your wife abandoned and took the funds and transferred, have you received any funds from
Objection, Your Honor, argumentative.
arguments? Okay.
Yes.
With my own client?
And since your wife abandoned and took the funds, have you overruled?
So, Mr. Oka, have you received anything from her to support the household,
No, ma'am.
specifically the mortgage?
Okay, counsel, that was your last question. The last question was, have you received anything from her to support the household? And he said, no, ma'am. Ma'am, why did you ask for the loans to be, when they were repaid, why did you ask for them to only be in your name?
Because I already knew that, because during that time I was running the business, he was absent for the most part. And because I know that it was going to be a fight, trying to get him to say that he wants to be responsible for the loans, because I've dealt with him for so many years. So I already knew that it was going to be an uphill battle trying to win that.
Okay, thank you. And you said you hadn't filed a business return since 2021.
That was the last time I filed it, because that's when I was actively in the business.
All right, thank you. The retirement account that had the 7,000 in it, how much is in there now?
There is nothing.
Have you been domiciled in the state of Texas for the previous 6 months before the filing of this lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
What about a resident of Dallas County?
After I moved out, I'm now in Tarrant County.
Well, no, prior to the divorce, when the divorce was filed.
Yes.
90.
Yes.
All right. Has your marriage to Mr. Oka become insupportable due to discord or conflict that has made the marriage relationship pretty much fall apart?
Yes.
Are you currently pregnant?
No.
Were there any other children or any children born or adopted during this marriage?
No.
All right. Are you asking the court to grant your divorce today?
Yes, I am.
All right. Are you also asking the court to do a just and right division of the community property that's in this case?
Yes, I am.
All right. And one more thing, is there any chance of reconciliation between the two of you?
No.
And were you seeking a name change?
No.
All right. Okay, Attorney Stocks, we didn't get, 19 is Attorney Johnson's exhibit. We didn't get your exhibit 1, Attorney Stocks.
I emailed it, Your Honor. First, I got a bounce back and I resent it.
You want me to ask Mary to send it? Mary, I could have her send it, because she sent, we received it as well. So I know I have it.
Yes,
Okay.
I can send it.
Thank you so much. So today the court is going to grant the divorce. I'm going to take my ruling under advisement and you all will receive a ruling on Monday.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
The divorce is granted, 20 years over. No children to fight over, no reconciliation, just debt, just property, and a business sitting in the center of it all. But notice what didn't happen. The judge did not immediately divide the property. That decision was taken under advisement, which means the real financial impact is still hanging in the air. Let's look at what we heard. She admits she applied for the loans. Yet she confirms nearly $296,000 was deposited. She admits transfers happened. She admits $16,000 went to her son-in-law, but she insists, every time, it was for business purposes. He says he didn't have access to one of the key accounts. He says the money was moved without his knowledge. He filed an identity theft complaint, but the SBA responded that they could not validate that claim. That's not a small detail, that's huge. Because if federal investigators don't see identity theft, then this stops being a criminal story and starts becoming something else. Maybe mismanagement, maybe poor communication, maybe a marriage collapsing under financial pressure. And then there's the corporate veil discussion. That moment may have been the most important part of the entire hearing. If the judge believes the business was used improperly, that veil can be pierced. And if that happens, business debt becomes personal debt. That's the real risk here. Not emotion, not pride. Debt. Almost $300,000 worth of it. One more detail stands out. The fraud claims came after the divorce filing. Before that, no formal written accusations, no legal action. Timing matters. So now the question becomes, was this intentional fraud? Or was this a business run by two spouses who stopped trusting each other? Because once trust disappears, every transaction starts to look suspicious. The judge has granted the divorce, but the financial decision is still coming. And that ruling will decide who carries the weight of these loans. So here's the real question. Did this look like fraud? Or did this look like a failing partnership with poor transparency? Drop thoughts in the comments. Who seemed more credible? And if you were in Judge Vonda B's position, would you pierce the corporate veil? For more real courtroom breakdowns, sharp analysis, and decisions that actually affect lives, subscribe to Court View and stay locked in. Because when Judge Vonda B speaks, the consequences are real.